Oi! Good day, mate. Today on WarpHammer Math, we're going on an epic adventure. We're gonna find the most conceited f***ing pricks in the known universe. The flawless blades. Huh. So the Emperor's Children's Codex finally came out, and I've been curious about playing these guys since I was a little kid. I just love their aesthetic. And now the Codex is out, and we've had a little time to see about points adjustments. I am so curious about the Flawless Blades, because I think they can kill just about anything. So today, we're going to find out. Let's go see if we can find some.
Before we go any further, I'd just like to help the noobs get up to speed. My name's Blake, and I've written a custom program that allows me to take an attacking unit and a defending unit, and then it simulates them a whole crap load of times to see a whole distribution of data and shit. That's what we're gonna look at today.
I think they look freaking cool. They are like some of my favorite models, at least in the recent releases.
They're sort of flawless, aren't
they are close to flawless. It's true. Arrogant
Someday.
buttheads. Also, what is their detachment? Coterie of the conceited.
Are you serial?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So, just saying, somebody at least is more full of themselves than the elves are.
Somebody.
Somebody's
more for themselves.
All right, so the first thing we need to do is let's go ahead and take a look at their data sheet. So the Flawless Blades are on 40mm bases. They're kind of like the Blade Guard veterans.
They're on 40s?
They're on 40s.
The same size as the Possessed. They're kind of the in Emperor's Children Possessed.
Well, also notably, the Blade Guard veterans and the Inner Circle Companions and the Sanguinary Guard, like we definitely have like an elite swordsman thing going on here, and they fall very nicely into that category. Also, very helpful for us in the simulations today, they have bolt pistols and then one melee profile. That's it.
A Bliss Blade.
The Bliss Blade. So each model gets 3 attacks. They're hitting on 2s with strength hitting on 2s, strength 6, AP 3, damage 2.
That is a mean profile.
Yeah.
Although I'm kind of surprised by only 3 attacks. Why
3
would I
attacks,
think
but
before?
hitting on 2s though.
Yeah.
I do know what you're saying though, because like if you only have 3 models in the squad for 110 points, that's only 9 attacks.
And there's only 3 models in the squad.
There's 3 models in the squad. You can take 6 for 220, but they're expensive.
So that makes me feel like, and I find myself wanting to track chaos more than anything. That sounds like they're sort of the Emperor's Children's variant of the Exalted 8 or the regular 8-pound. The 8-pound.
Yeah, actually, I guess they're kind of in that same camp too.
They're the yeah.
Huh. We
Got
might
it.
need a comparison between all of them at some point.
Oh.
Although I will also mention, like, I think all of these guys have 3 wounds that kind of fit into this category, but these guys move 8 inches and they've got a 5-up invulnerable save, which is real nice. And they're T5, not T4.
I need to go get my phone because I'm trying to figure out, are they slow? They might be slower than the Possessed because I think the Possessed go 9 inches.
Yeah, I think they do. I think you're right.
We will check later.
Yeah,
Hey,
or
let's put
someone
it on
can
the
correct
screen.
us. Yeah.
Now it is
Yes,
either-
they go this far.
Yes,
or that far, or this far. I'm
either
not sure
been
yet.
confirmed or denied. I'm not sure which.
So the other thing is the Flawless Blades, they get 9 attacks or 18 attacks, but they have this awesome demonic patrons ability, which is every time that they attack, every time they're selected to fight, you can choose to give them critical wounds on 3-up. So there's nothing you can really combine that with like devastating wounds, but that basically means that they can choose to just wound anything in the game on 3s. But if you use this ability and then they fail to kill a model, then one of them dies, just having failed to please the demonic patrons.
Interesting. So in my mind, a critical wound just becomes an auto success. So even if they would have only wounded on 6s, if they critical wound on 3s, now they wound anything on 3s.
Exactly.
So you're looking at tough targets, and your tough targets, if you don't kill your tough target, it seems like it's most treacherous to use it when you need it most.
That is definitely true. Because, I mean, they're strength 6, which means they're going to be wounding almost all infantry in the game. Most infantry in the game on 3s. And so if you're punching up, you're just like, no, I'm still wounding on 3s.
So that's a good reason to use squads of 6, because you need to just smish things when you use that.
Right. And that was the conclusion that I drew, is that because of this rule and because I would want to make good use of it, I feel like I would most commonly want to run these guys in 6s.
Especially because the 6 model unit is just flat twice as expensive, and you'd think it should be a little more. Like the Warp Talons were like 30% more expensive or something. I just came up with that number out of my ass. But the bigger one was more expensive for that reason, because if you kill stuff, you could disappear.
Yeah, so as a result of this, I just decided that I was going to run all the simulations as though we had 6 models.
Yeah, because that's what you need to do.
Yeah, you got to run 6 models.
You're being foolish if you don't, if they're the same, if they're same per model.
Mm-hmm. And then in terms of leader choices, they have exactly one option, which is Lucius the Eternal.
Lucius?
Lucius?
Oh.
Lucius. Lucius sounds like...
No. Are we just
I feel like they would say Lucius.
My name
It
is
sounds
Lucius.
a little bit more pretentious.
It does, because then you get to correct people, because everybody thinks it's Lucius.
Yeah. And so Lucius basically has the same profile as the rest of the squad, except that he's got 6 wounds and he's got a 4-up invulnerable save. He's got 2 different attack profiles. One of them has precision. You get 6 attacks hitting on 2, strength 8, AP 3, damage 3.
That's the Blade of Lair.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention, whenever he's attacking into characters, monsters, or walkers, he gets to re-roll hits and he gets to re-roll wounds.
Damn, but that's just for him. That's not conveyed to his unit.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's not conveyed to his unit.
But he does have duelist's hubris.
Right.
Okay, yes. This is where the conceit exists. Fine.
Uh-huh.
I concede.
That's like their whole
this
deal.
Is where the conceit is.
So the duelist hubris is probably another reason why I'm not sure I want to run him with these guys, because if he's running by himself and he's not leading a unit, then he gets fights first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he doesn't confer a benefit to his unit, and he doesn't let them fight first.
And he would not convey the lone operative that he has there.
Right, he would not get lone operative.
So you've, yeah, wow, no, yeah, Lucius needs to get solo.
So also mentioning, he does have kind of like a sweep attack with his Lash of Torment, which as far as I can tell is really the Tongue of Torment.
The Tongue of Torment! Yeah. Oh my god, that's my stage.
Yeah, sustained hits, 10 attacks hitting on 2, strength 4, AP 1, damage 1. Obviously a less awesome profile unless you're going into 1 wound targets.
Yeah, you could take out a whole unit of guardsmen, theoretically.
Theoretically.
It's not impossible.
Mm-hmm. So the conclusion that I drew from this is that I don't think I want to put Lucius in this squad.
I think so that means in these simulations, you're running a 6-man squad of Flawless Blades, no Lucius.
Yeah, so we might return to Lucius in another video, but for now, we're just going to go ahead and leave Lucius behind. He's just the only leader option, so I was like, I have to at least mention him.
No, yeah, I think you call that right, because he conveys nothing to the unit, he loses fights first, and he's no longer lone operative. You're paying for an expensive model and getting nothing out of it.
The other thing I will say is, like, he does have some pretty good attacks. He does increase your odds of killing something. But if you're taking 6 Flawless Blades, you're probably going to do a decent job of killing a bunch of stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So, at the time of making this video, I saw that there were really 2 detachments that were used extensively for Emperor's Children. Oh, whoops. What I meant to say is, first let's talk about the army rule for the Emperor's Children.
You silly goose.
Which is called Thrill Seekers. If the army faction is Emperor's Children, this unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced or fell back, but when doing so, you have to follow these conditions. It cannot target a unit that it was an engagement range of at the start of the turn, so you can't just like fall back and then charge back in. Can't do that.
Don't look at me.
And it can't target a unit that was the target of another unit's charge or attack this phase, which means if you're going to do like a multi-charge, you have to charge with something else, and then you can charge in with the thing that advanced or fell back.
That's kind of wacko. That sounds like it'd be kind of hard to steer.
Yeah, there's definitely some nuance here. One of the things I do like is that you could have like 2 different units that charge different units and then both fall back and then switch targets. That would be allowed?
That would be the way. But that means you got to have your enemy targets have to be in close proximity to each other.
Yeah, so you got to be a little bit careful with this, but it does mean that at least one thing can advance and charge into any particular target, which is real nice. Especially because they move 8 inches. They're real fast.
That's a good point. You fall back 8 inches and then make your charge. They don't have to be that close together, actually.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So as I was trying to say earlier, so this is their army rule, and at the time of recording, I found that there's really 3 detachments that are used a lot, but 2 in particular were used a ton. One of them is the Peerless Blades, which kind of seems like it was made for them, to be honest. So basically, the detachment rule for this is if your unit makes a charge, then every time they fight, you get to choose between sustained or lethal hits.
Okay.
Which is nice.
Yeah,
and
that's pretty
just
sweet.
as a reminder, if you haven't seen my other videos, if you're choosing between sustained and lethals, always pick lethals if you're fighting up, if you're, punching up. So if your strength is higher than their toughness, then go with sustained. Otherwise, go with lethals.
And then, additionally,
Asterisks.
and the other thing too, if they're both, if you're wounding on 4s, so even, then you should pick sustained if you need to find some kind of a spike. But if you're likely to take out your unit, you want to go lethals.
Right, because sustained increases your variance, while lethals decreases your variance.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
A tighter pack.
And then quickly, I thought I'd go through the stratagems you can use in this detachment. We've got Deft Parry for -1 to hit, which is probably way better than Daft Parry, which I assume would be like +1 to hit.
That's or it's when Daft Punk and Katy Perry collab.
Yeah. In the far, far future with combat trucks.
And death ecstasy.
Uh-huh. So for 2 CP, they can fight on death, which is real nice.
That's 2 CP hurts though.
It
and
does.
incessant violence.
Which gives you consolidate 6 inches, but you can only do that if you're going to tag another unit in combat. But that's still really freaking nice.
Wow, that's pretty sweet.
Cruel Bladesman, +1 AP to their melee. How do I say this one?
Terrifying spectacle.
I love this because basically what it says is if your unit charges into combat and then kills something, on the following turn, your opponent has to take a battle shock for every unit within 6.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Everybody was just like, that was a terrifying spectacle.
That was a terrifying spectacle.
I just realized that's the perfect name for that.
And then this one, which I really like, which seems situationally crazy mean, cut down the weak. So if your opponent falls back and then ends within 6 inches of one of your non-vehicle units, actually non-vehicle or walker units, because it works on walkers, then you can just go ahead and recharge them again for 2 CP.
Wow. It's not just the recharge because it's not the unit necessarily they fell back from. It could be any unit.
It could be any unit.
Wow.
And they don't get the charge bonus when they do this, but it's going to be in your opponent's turn. So unless they have fights first, you're still going to fight before your opponent, even if you don't fight first.
Right.
That makes sense, right?
And they don't have like, what is it? Harpoon? No, what is it? Lance. They don't have Lance, so that doesn't matter.
I want to start calling it Harpoon.
Harpoon.
Like that. So this is a pretty sweet detachment for them. It seems focused on them, but I will say that I feel like there's another detachment that I think is A, better, and B, way more fun in its mechanics, which is the Coterie of the Conceited.
What is a coterie?
It's like a small group of like-minded individuals.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
It's like a what's the Japanese word for it?
I don't know. Fans?
Otaku.
Otaku.
It's an otaku
There you
of the conceited.
Very nice. So I think this detachment looks like a crazy amount of fun to the point where I'm like, damn, I wish I had enough time and money to collect Emperor's Children. I'm really hoping you'll do that one day so that I can borrow it.
I'm totally gonna do it. I just have 100 billion trillion models that I have to paint before I can realistically buy them.
Yeah, we'll get to that by the time we roll around to the 30s, probably. So here's their detachment rule. We got Pledges of the Dark Prince. And basically the way it works is if your warlord is on the battlefield, then you essentially declare how many units you think you can kill. You're going to make a pact and be like, I can kill 2 units this round.
Okay.
And if you do, then you gain pact points equal to the number of units that you pledge to kill. So like if you were like, I can kill 2, and then you kill 3, you still only get 2.
Right, right.
Yeah, so you're sort of gambling and being like, I think I can kill at least this many. And then and if you fail to do that, then your warlord takes D3 mortal wounds.
Oh, crap!
And you don't get any pact points for it, which is kind of rough.
Oh.
But you start racking up these pact points, and if you have any of them, you get to reroll 1s to hit. If you have 3 of them, you get to reroll 1s to wound. If you have 5 of them, by the way, these are cumulative. So if you have 5 of them, you get reroll 1s to hit, reroll 1s to wound, and lethals and sustained. And by the time you get to 7, you also get critical hits on 5s. So if you get to 7, you're rerolling 1s to hit, rerolling 1s to wound, and then you're getting sustained and lethals on 5s.
Oh,
which is
but if you had 7, like you either had a crazy ballsy couple of first turns, or this is very late game.
well. Honestly, I think it really depends on your opponent because, especially if you're playing like guard or something that has a lot of utility units, you can focus those things down. And there is at least one stratagem that will help out with this too. Actually, yeah, let's talk about the stratagems.
Protection of the Dark Prince.
Right, which gives your entire army a 6-up feel no pain.
Is that what the 3
That
pluses
is not what I meant. I mean, this gives one unit a 6-up feel no pain. Yeah, that's the 3 pluses. And a 4-up feel no pain against mortal wounds. Unshakable opponents, which
Can't shake them.
which allows you to ignore modifiers to hit, ballistic skill, weapon skill, and to wound.
Whoa.
Yeah, so ignoring a bunch of modifiers. Embrace the pain!
So good. So good.
Which I really like this one. This is sort of like what I have in the Angelic Host detachment for Blood Angels, where you can just force an opponent to melee into that unit. So, yeah, so you can just throw in something you don't care about very much and then be like, haha, you have to attack this.
Wow, it's just like a damage sink.
Yeah, exactly. Martial Perfection allows you to re-roll hit rolls in melee, but hopefully you should be re-rolling 1s to hit in melee most of the time
most things
anyway.
are hitting on 2s. So.
Well, these guys are hitting on 2s. Most of your other units will be hitting on 3s.
Now wait, I want to go back a second. Embrace the pain. Can you do that with a vehicle?
I
Okay.
suspect it's only on infantry.
Proceed. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, but I could be wrong.
I have the tiny pocket pewter.
So I do think that Martial Perfection seems a little bit underwhelming given the detachment rule, but whatever. Unbound Arrogance, which seems perfect for them.
Yep.
After killing a unit, you just get an extra pact point. You can only use that once per battle round. But again, I think
actually 7 seems way more achievable now.
Right, because every turn, hopefully every battle round, you should be adding 1 more. That's probably what I would be sinking my command points on early on, because these things are nuts once you get down towards the end.
Right. And it looks like they're on odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, and 7. So you're going to be wanting to spend that command point if it crosses you into another threshold.
I feel like in the first couple of turns of the game, I'd be wanting to use it anyway.
Yeah, maybe even at the beginning. But it sounds like, too, you're most often going to want, if you plan on using that stratagem, every turn you're hoping to get 3 pact points. 1 or 3. Those are the numbers you're going for every time. Because that 3 is going to become a 4, and that's going to cross you 2 steps down that threshold. And your 1 would become a 2, which will take you 1 step down.
I can see that.
I guess if you pick a number, an even number, then you expect to not use the +1, the 1 CP for 1 pact point. I don't know. I'm guessing. I don't know things.
Having not played the detachment, I probably would use this every turn if I thought I could cross the next threshold before the game ends, personally. I mean, maybe not in like turns 4 or 5, but even then, I might be tempted because if you can just like wreck everything at the very end too, sometimes that allows you to score big on primaries.
And also, it's interesting that it, like you said, it's going to make you want to sort of target the utility units, which means early on in the game you've not touched most of the big targets. They're still sort of armed to the teeth, and you're hoping that the benefit you gain from these is going to be enough to overcome having left so many big targets out.
That's actually a really good point. You might want to leave some of the bigger things if you can avoid them, especially because you're relatively fast.
And you're going to be, good point. You're fast too, so you can get your resources over there fast.
And then Space Marines have Armor of Contempt. These guys have Armor of Abhorrence.
Oh, gosh, that's even more intense.
It's basically the same thing. It's minus one to AP for opponents' attacks in melee or
I
shooting.
love that they did that. That's so unnecessary. But okay, on the ladder, on the hierarchy of hatred or dislike, where do abhorrence and contempt, where are they relative to one another?
I feel like abhorrence is stronger than contempt.
Yeah, I guess that's a
I
good
feel
point.
pretty strongly that way,
You can
actually.
be in contempt. Like, if you have contempt, you might be silent. If you abhor somebody, you can't be in their presence.
Yeah. They're
Okay.
like, nope, you must die. With that, let's go ahead and throw these guys into some targets. And again, I've decided to run a squad of 6 of them because I think that's the way I would prefer to run them most of the time.
And without Lucius.
We just got 6 dudes. I will also say that I did not consider their bolt pistols in these simulations. Probably should have, but I feel like they do significantly less damage than the rest of the squad, so Just didn't worry about them.
can't-
You got pistols, fantastic. You get 6 more shots.
I can't help but think of Lucius Malfoy, and then I'm forced to conclude that
Is
Slaanesh-
that what happens to that guy in the 41st millennium?
Yes, that's why I'm forced to conclude too that Slaanesh is the House of Slytherin. And then I must ask the audience, which Chaos God would you associate with each of the Harry Potter houses? I'm curious.
Which one's going to be Gryffindor?
I feel like Corn is Gryffindor.
Kind of weirdly, just
And
freaking
Zinch-
overachievers.
Zinch is Ravenclaw, and Nurgle is Hufflepuff. They actually all match perfectly.
Oh my God, you're right.
Oh! I mean, the colors don't match, but the vibe totally
Yeah, the vibe
matches.
does.
That's awesome. Tell me how correct I am.
I'm totally a Hufflepuff.
For no reason.
For no reason.
Don't forget to comment for the comment goals.
Likes for the like, bro.
Yeah, all right. So, first of all, let's go ahead and throw these guys into some intercessors. So, if we throw 6 of them into intercessors, you can expect to kill between 7 and 10 of them at base.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's with none of the points.
None of the buffs whatsoever.
Okay, well,
so that
that's
gives
pretty
you
swizzle.
a 90, almost a 97% chance to kill 5, about a 29% chance to wipe a 10-man squad. But the thing is, they are going to get some buffs. If you're putting them in either detachment, they're going to be getting buffs.
Yeah, I mean, like, you only need one point in order to get the first buff, and you can spend a command point on that. So you could literally do it first turn, can't you?
Well, you'd have to kill something first
No, because you can spend a command point to just gain 1 point.
after you kill something.
Oh,
You have to
I
kill
didn't catch
something.
that part of it. Okay, so
Yeah,
you still
yeah.
have to kill it.
But I mean, in the Peerless Blades detachment, they just always get to choose between sustained and lethals. So if you choose sustained, that's a 20% buff. That brings you up to 19.98%. Sorry, 19.98 damage, which puts you at just about 50-50 odds to kill a 10-man squad.
Okay.
If you choose lethals, because you're wounding on 3s, brings you up to 18.32. It's like 9 dead ones on average. If you are in the otaku of, if you're in the otaku of
Conceit? No.
conceit. Anyway, if you have reroll 1s to hit, that gives you a 16.7% buff. It's about 19.43. I also want to point out, by the time you get to 3 pact points and you have reroll 1s to hit and reroll 1s to wound, you get a 36% buff, which is already better than you can possibly get in the Peerless Bladesman detachment.
Ooh.
So now they're going to be killing 11 on average, a little more than 11.
Honestly, that sounds like a really fun detachment.
I know.
The really high risk, really high reward.
I
I'm so into
know. And then trying to like kind of play it a little bit cagey at the beginning. I really like this. I think that'd be
Yeah.
really fun. If you manage to get all the way up to 5 pact points, you get reroll 1s to hit, reroll 1s to wound, sustained and lethal hits. That's a 71% buff, and now they're doing 28.47 damage.
Damn.
And if you get all the way up to 7 pact points, I had to do a separate simulation for this because that seems so ridiculous. It's a 108% increase to their damage.
If you what?
If you have 7 pact points, so they get
The
reroll
whole-
reroll 1s to hit, reroll 1s to wound, lethal and sustained 5s and 6s. Now they're killing between 15 and 19 intercessors, giving you a 99.66% chance
Wow.
to wipe a 10-man squad.
Just blending them. I have vivid imagery of in my mind, just swords and just so much everywhere. It looks very Tasmanian.
That's so cool. So like the 6 of them could run in, and if there were like a bunch of intercessors together, just kill 17 of them. Just done.
devil. Wow.
I know.
So that's a Crusader squad only, right?
Wait, a Crusader squad?
Yeah, because you can't have a
Oh.
20-man squad anywhere else. can
Yeah,
you?
but you could have a bunch of intercessor bodies that are close together and do a multi-charge.
Good point. Good
But
point.
yeah, I mean, I don't see that happening a lot. You're right, probably on Crusader bodies. But they'd probably do even better on Crusader bodies since half of them will only be saving on 4s and
Good
therefore
point.
won't get any saves at all.
Oh, so they'll do, yeah.
Yeah,
Whoa.
because the intercessors are going to be saving on 6s already.
Damn. Wow, they are mean.
3
Okay.
attacks apiece.
With 3 attacks apiece, but they're so certain. Hitting on 2s, high strength, possibly exploding, possibly lethal.
Actually, that's really interesting. 18 attacks and 17 kills.
Wow. Well, I guess that actually fits the motif, doesn't it? Talk about precision
Almost
and perfection.
flawless performance.
Oh, yes.
Wait, is that where the name comes from?
Oh. Amazing.
So these were some lighter infantry. I wanted to go into some tougher infantry, and especially one of the weaknesses I notices about them is that they really rely on that high AP. So anything that has an invulnerable save is going to be kind of rough for them. And one thing that I have seen a bit and been bogged down by are Lich Guard. Because they're toughness 5, got that 3-up save, 2 wounds, but if you arm them properly, I'm going to say properly, then they have a 4-up invulnerable save.
There's a variant, I assume, that does not have the invulnerable.
Yeah, you have to choose between weapons. So their weapons are a little bit better if they don't have an invuln, but the way that I've always seen them used is as a tar pit unit. Like, here you go, deal with this now. Because the flawless blades are only going to kill 4 to 6 of them at base.
Wow, that made a mess. Well, I don't know the comparison yet.
Well, I mean, compared to basically intercessor bodies.
7 to 10, yeah. And what's the...
Yeah, 7 to 10. Well, there we go.
They're toughness 5 and a 3-up save with 2 wounds, so just slightly tougher Space Marine bodies.
They're
but that
Space Marine
4-up
bodies
invuln.
with the invulnerable save, taking you to 4 to 6 kills. You only have a 59% chance of killing 5, or basically a 1% chance to wipe the squad.
Actually, yeah, you're right. Because it goes from toughness 4 to 5, the wound roll's the same, so they're exactly Space Marine bodies to the Flawless Blade.
Again, I kind of feel like unless you have something that's toughness 6 and you don't feel like you want it, you're just wounding everything on 3s.
Yeah, wow.
Unless you got really weak targets, in which case you probably want to find something else to throw them into anyway.
They really didn't want that target.
Yeah, they don't want that target. So if we consider all those other buffs, if you are in Peerless Blades and give them Sustained, again, 20% buff, now they're going to be doing 12 damage, so killing like 6 of them on average.
Wow.
Lethals, 10% buff, so you're doing 11 damage. And if you have the Otaku of Conceit and you work your way up, reroll ones to hit gives them 16.7% buff, 11.67. Reroll ones to hit and wound, 36% buff. Now you're up to 13.59, killing more like 7-ish, a little less than 7. And if you then also give them sustained and lethals, now their damage goes up to 17.09.
Damn.
So that's between 8 and 9 dead Lich Guard in one go.
That's pretty brutal.
But again,
wow. It ramps up a lot. But that's when you have all of those.
That's by the time you have 5 packed points.
Yeah, so if you get rid of the tar pit at the end of the game, nice job.
Oh, that's actually a really good point. I hadn't really considered that. You would probably prefer to go over to these guys earlier.
Yeah.
But if you did manage to work your way all the way up and then also give them critical hits on 5s, now they're killing between 8 and 10 of them. You've got 8 and 12 of them, giving you a 61% chance to wipe the squad. Which is really mean. I remember games where I've been fighting these guys for 3 battle rounds in a row and being like, why won't you just die? Because then they just keep coming back if you don't kill them successfully.
Because they also revive, and probably someone's got like a revival orb and a Lazarus squirt gun.
No, I love hate the Necrons. Like, I hate them in a way, but they're also just so cool. I just love robo-zombies.
I do too.
It's so appealing.
If they offered more of a painting experience, I probably would have thought of starting that.
Honestly, that's a lot of how I'm feeling about them too.
They're kind of like the easy-to-paint army, though, in my mind, and I feel like that's cool for other people.
Yeah. Also, yeah. Might be really fun for a guest army.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
All right, so
We
you're
should
not...
tell people later on what our plan for our guest army is, and then they can roast us.
Oh, yeah, we have an amazing plan for a guest army that will both be cheapish and easy for people to run. But we'll tell you more about that later as we start unrolling that project.
Yeah, we'll tell you about it if you wait till literally the last 10 seconds of the video.
Yeah, last 10 seconds.
If you watch till then, you're the homie and you get to know our secret plan.
No. I have dice in my other hand, so I can't, like... He put dice in my hand so I wouldn't bump the table.
Oh, yeah. It's a pretty sweet setup we got here.
All right, so you're not always going to be going into infantry. One of the reasons that they're great is because they can also punch up because of their demonic patrons. So, if we send them into a fetid bloat drone, Toughness 9, 3-up save with a 5-up invulnerable, which prevents them from saving on a 6-up. So they'll save on a 3-up and save on a 5-up instead. You're going to do between 10 and 16 damage. Again, this is assuming that you're taking the demonic patrons, so you're wounding on 3s. You've got an 85.5% chance of killing this thing.
Okay.
That's pretty nice. Like a nice medium vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you start giving them buffs, sustained hits, 20% buff, giving you 16 damage. Lethal hits, 10% buff, giving you 14.66 damage.
This is with a 10 wound model, so all of these are killing it. As soon as you added one of these, so we got to 16 damage, any one of these buffs took us over odds on.
Yeah, but again, like part of the point is not just if you're attacking a fetid bloat drone, it's if you're attacking something similar to a fetid bloat drone,
right.
which might have more wounds.
3-up save with 10 wounds, and for toughness 9, that's wounding on 5s.
Except that we're using the demonic patron, so we're wounding on 3s.
Wounding on 3s.
But if you fail to kill it, then you lose a blade, which is unfortunate.
That is brutal.
So if you give them reroll 1s to hit, that's 1 packed point. They're doing 15.56 damage. If you have 3 packed points, they get to reroll 1s to hit and wound, giving you 18.13 damage. And if you get to 5 packed points, so reroll 1s to hit and wound and sustained and lethals, now you're doing 22.79 damage, which is more than double killing this thing. Like,
wow.
I think your odds are real good at that point.
So this is actually more likely one of the things you should try and take out early on to get your points.
Probably. Yeah, totally. Plus, the fetid blow drones are just really annoying to take down. So, well, they just are, because everything the Death Guard have is just like tough, annoying. These things are relatively fast.
10 inches? That's
They're
pretty fast.
Cheapish, so they can go to run around and do stuff. Yeah, they might be exposed too. And then again, if you do make it to 7 packed points and you also get critical hits on 5s, now they're doing between 24 and 32 damage with a median of 28. Which means if you had a bunch of these all stacked together in a squad, which wouldn't happen, on average, you'd kill 2.3 of them. Also, you have a 99.98% chance to kill this bloat drone now.
I'm also texting someone. And Dad's calling me. Son of a gun. I just have to put it down. Too many things. All right, so...
Now take your phone away.
No.
Okay, so, yeah, so if they have 7 packed points, they've got a 99.98% chance to kill this thing. Like, this is just not going to survive. Just period, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you see, what is that? 1 in 500 attempts you will fail?
If you have a 99.98%
Never mind.
chance.
Yeah, we're editing that out. Damn it.
No, we're leaving that in there.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
No, we're not.
Come on. Do I have to edit the whole video in order to make that happen?
I'm not going to let him edit this video.
Just put it in and do it. Okay. We're all human.
All right.
I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you so much to all of our patrons because you guys rock. This is a lot of work, and without your support, this wouldn't be happening. So if you'd like to help us make more episodes like this, you can find our link in the bio and join our growing Discord community. So until then, let's get back to the episode.
Yeah. Haha, now I have a camera. Haha, get our merch. We have merchandise. Please buy some.
Finally, something else that I see on the battlefield more and more for Tyranids, the Tyrannifex, which is toughness 12 and a 2-up save. Again, part of the reason I picked, and 16 wounds, so it's the same profile as a land fortress and a land raider.
It's a straight up land raider.
It's a land raider, yeah. It does have the extra benefit that it can nullify the damage from one attack.
But that's not that useful here.
It doesn't really want to do that against these guys, though, because they're only 2 damage attacks.
No, it wants to use that against the laser. The Predator Annihilator Laser Destroyer.
Yeah. Actually, I think people are telling us it's the Lazar Destroyer.
The Laser Destroyer. That makes perfect sense.
Okay. So, the Flawless Blades with no buffs have a 33.55% chance to wipe a Tyrannifex in 1 turn. If they nullify one of those attacks for some reason, then you have an 18.39% chance to kill it.
Wow, okay.
Mm-hmm. And if you start giving these guys the buffs... and again, you're going to notice that because they're always wounding on 3s and always hitting on 2s pretty much, they're getting the same buffs from all of these.
They're pretty much consistently the same.
Yeah, regardless of what the target is. So sustained, that's going to get you up to 16 damage, giving you better than 50-50 odds to kill a Tyrannifex now.
Sweet.
Lethals give you 14.66 damage. Reroll 1s to hit gets you to 15.56 damage. Reroll ones to hit and wound up to 18.13 damage. Starting to look really good. And then if you have 5 packed points and you have reroll ones to hit and wound and sustained and lethals, now you're doing 22.79 damage, which I wish I actually had the spread here, but I think that puts you over the 80% mark to kill the Tyrannofex.
Damn. The Chobro limit. I want to go Chandrasekhar limit, but I couldn't think of a way to make it. Now, wait, I want to clarify something real quick. These are not stacking buffs, because I see sustained hits got us to 16 damage.
Oh, yeah. The first 2 are from Peerless Blades.
They're one or the other.
Yeah, and one or the other. And the other 3 stack, where it's reroll ones to hit, and then reroll ones to hit and wound, and then reroll ones to hit and wound and sustained and lethals.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, because I was like, how did we add lethals and then get less damage?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
And then, of course, if you have 7 packed points and you have all of this and critical hits on 5s, now you're doing between 24 and 32 damage to the Tyrannofex.
Oh my god!
With a 98.9% chance to kill it. And if it nullifies one, you still have a 97.12% chance to kill it.
Because they're
Also,
2 damage weapons?
because they're 2 damage weapons.
Okay,
and we
that's
didn't
why.
even consider those bolt pistols.
Oh, that really would have pushed it over the edge.
Yeah, I don't think so, but that's okay.
Oh my god,
So-
that's so brutal.
I don't remember the last time we saw something that could reliably kill a Land Raider Tyrannofex Land Fortress.
With except for the death ball, the Black Templar's death ball.
Did that get this high?
I don't know.
We'll have to double check that one.
Somebody else go check the video and
But-
tell us.
This was so effective that I had to pick one more target for these guys.
Is it Mortarion?
It's Mortarion!
That smelly piece of.
All right, you ready to watch these guys kill Mortarion?
Yes, I'm really excited.
Too bad.
Are you serial?
They do between 11 and 16 damage to Mortarion, giving you just less than a 1 in 3 chance of killing him.
Oh my god. He
Like,
also does -1 damage?
actually, he could. So if we gave him disgustingly resilient, then they're gonna do more
Half
like
that.
6.5 damage.
Oh my god. So they're not designed for Mortarion. Don't do it.
Yeah. Again, anyone who says that Mortarion is just not that tough this edition, bullshit.
Yeah, Drew.
Yeah, we don't trust anything
We
you have
don't
to say.
trust- you said
I
that-
see that smile.
You said that one time, and now nothing else is credible ever.
That's right. I'm going to hold on to that
Is your name
for
even
years now.
Drew?
All right. So, some takeaways. First of all, these guys do not want to go into 1 wound infantry. That is
Yeah.
such a waste. Just
Everyone knows that.
don't do that. They really struggle into things with invulnerable saves, probably more than some other heavy hitters because they rely so heavily on that AP3. So invulnerable saves just really suck for them.
I was about to say, so they love Terminators and Custodies, but both of them have mean and vulnerable saves, don't they?
Although they're going to do kind of similarly well to Lich Guard, I guess, although they would take an extra attack. Yeah, they're not going to really love Terminators and Custodies.
Well, because they're going to be wounding on 3-ups because of the thing. I was like, but the 6 and I think Custodies
Yeah.
are toughness 7. None
But
of that
either
matters.
way, yeah. But they also have more than 2 wounds, which means it's going to take more than 1 attack to kill them, which kind of sucks.
Well, at the very least, you can reliably use your thing that gives you extra stuff if you kill a model and not die.
That's true. You're not likely to die.
Thank you for knowing what that word salad meant.
And you only really want to use the patrons if you're going to a hard target, and only if you think you have enough to actually take them down. Most of the time. So if I was going into something really hard, I'd probably want to soften it up a little bit first if I could. Maybe throwing some grenades, something like that, just to give yourself the edge. Yeah. I think you probably want to take these guys in 6s if you can afford it, because that just makes the demonic patron ability a lot more useful and a lot more reliable. I will say, though, that you might still want to use the demonic patrons if you're going to a hard target, if you just need the extra wounds. Because if you're hitting up and you're only wounding on 5s, taking the demonic patrons doubles their damage output. So you might still take that if you don't expect to kill something, because you know you're going to get extra wounds on them, and it might just be worth it.
It might be worth the loss of one, like, 40-point model, 37-point model.
Yeah, so that's kind of up to you to decide, but I feel like they could still be worth taking that, even if you don't think you're going to kill something, if you really need to take it down. They are crazy dangerous in the conceited detachment, in the otaku of the conceited.
The conceited
Especially if you can work your way up that pack tree. I also want to mention that by the time you get to 3 pact points, they're already outperforming whatever they can do in the Peerless Bladesman.
Wow. Even
And-
with stratagem support.
I want to say broadly even with stratagem support, because neither of the detachments are going to give you things that really buff their output that much. I mean, I think you can give them +1 AP in like one of the detachments, but either way. This unit is freaking awesome. I love them. I love their detachments. I frankly love the entire army. I think that Emperor's Children are just freaking rad in pretty much every way that counts.
Yeah.
So until we can actually play them, I'm just gonna dream about it.
I'm still gonna wait till they come with a Sonic Dreadnought. That's when I will cave.
Oh,
A Sonic Dreadnought, I'm in.
the Noise Dreadnought.
Yes, it's just a straight up boom box
Just a
with
big old
arms.
boom box.
Dude, fucking so sick.
All right, bro.
Yeah.
Let's go paint some minis. You want to paint
That
some minis?
sounds fabulous.
All right, let's freaking
I'm
do
down.
it. All right.
Pizza?
Bye, guys. Yeah, pizza and minis.
2, 2, and 4. We failed. Whatever you're
Thank
trying
you for
to do.
watching another episode of WarpHammer Math.
For the Emperor!
Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a starter army for all our homies that want to play with us, and it's gonna be a Knights army. Except Knights are expensive, so instead of Knights, we're gonna get a different model. What are we getting?
We're going to go ahead and get some Gundam kits and make ourselves a Gundam Knight army. So that just anybody can come and play with us with some awesome models that honestly are a lot cheaper than Games Workshop plastic.
Yeah, and totally doable. Get the right base size, have a craft day, everybody take care of one box.
Yeah, and we've already painted one of them up. So if you'd like to see that or see the progress, let us know in the comments. We'll show you all some stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, do that. Okay, anyway, yeah.
Bye.
Bye, friends.